Welcome to Decoding Seafood by MOWI, where we embark on a flavorful journey exploring the intricate world of seafood. I'm your host, George Duran, and today we're diving deep into the diverse origins of Atlantic salmon, uncovering each region, the shapes, and its distinct taste, the texture, and the culinary appeal of salmon. In today's culinary landscape, consumers are increasingly interested in the provenance of their food, meaning where it came from. So the story of Atlantic salmon's terroir is not just about the taste, it's about understanding the journey of this remarkable fish and the efforts, of course, to bring sustainable, flavorful, nutritious salmon to our tables. As we continue our journey through the world of seafood, we invite you to savor the distinct qualities that make Atlantic salmon a true delicacy of the sea. So we will be talking about where it came from, and that's very important when it comes to your food. If you're a type of person like I am, where you want to know where the milk came from, the cheese that you're purchasing, because you know that origin will make a difference, you'll understand why the same rule applies to salmon. It's important that you question where most of the salmon comes from. A lot of the times I see salmon that comes from Chile, sometimes Norway, particularly smoked salmon, and I've even seen some from the Faroe Islands. But does that really make a difference? Does that really affect the flavor? Does that affect the texture of the salmon? And believe it or not, it does. I've asked a lot of people around and found that very few people have a knowledge on the regions that salmon comes from. Why is it that we don't know this? And why is it that we're not educated as consumers? And how important is it that we're educated as consumers that we know where the salmon comes from? Why is it that we have such limited availability as to the different origins of the salmon? Why is it that I can only find Chilean salmon in my local market and not from all these other regions? We're going to go ahead and explore that and see what makes a difference when searching for that origin of that salmon. Now, Atlantic salmon, scientifically known as Salmon salar, has a storied history that begins in the cold, pristine waters of the North Atlantic Ocean. The species' natural habitat stretches from the rivers of Europe to the eastern coasts of North America. And now, over time, Atlantic salmon has been introduced to various parts of the world, including the southern hemisphere like Chile, where their farming is now widespread. So imagine the salmon that goes and usually lives up in the cold Arctic waters or in the Norwegian waters. It's being introduced and farmed further south. How does that affect the salmon itself? Well, it's an interesting journey. The journey of Atlantic salmon from egg to plate is a complex one. In the wild, their life cycle begins in the fresh water rivers of the region, where they're born, where they hatch, and they spend their early life. As they mature, they migrate to the ocean, where they grow and gain the strength needed for the return journey to their birthplace to spawn. This remarkable migratory pattern not only contributes to their health, but also to the distinct flavors associated with their region of origin. Let's talk a little bit about farming practices, because that has evolved to mimic the natural conditions of Atlantic salmon's habitat. And that's important because you want the salmon to feel at home. When you do that to any sort of farmed animal, let's say a chicken, for example, if you make them feel at home as they're grazing or they're in the pasture, you know that the quality of the chicken meat, the quality of the eggs is going to be beautiful. It's going to be similar to what it is as if they're in the wild. And the same thing goes with salmon. There's a focus on sustainability and environmental stewardship when it comes to farming salmon, especially with MOWI salmon. Aquaculture operations like MOWI's strive to create conditions that allow the salmon to develop as they would in the wild, resulting in a product that is both high quality and rich in the flavors imparted by its terroir. And there is that word again, terroir. It's a term that you often say when you're describing something like wine. Where the provenance of that wine comes from, for example, is called the terroir, where those vines are grown. The terroir makes a world of a difference when it comes to the grapes, and then from there, the wine that is pressed from the grapes. And that is going to give you a distinct flavor. So when somebody instantly tastes the wine and talks about the terroir, it usually applies to where it's grown, where those grapes are grown. The same thing happens with salmon, for example. It refers to the unique combination of environmental factors that influence the flavor profile of agricultural products. In the case of Atlantic salmon, terroir encompasses the water quality, the climate, the feed, and even the farming practices of the region where the salmon is actually raised or caught. The concept of terroir in Atlantic salmon is multifaceted. It includes the mineral composition of the waters where the salmon are raised, the types of algae and plankton they feed on, and the specific characteristics of each farming region. For example, salmon from the fjords of Norway may have a different flavor profile than those from the coastal waters of Scotland or the bays of Canada, each influenced by the unique environmental conditions of these locations. So if you think of the salmon in colder waters, or perhaps with waters that are a little more violent, for example, it's going to have to move those muscles, and that's going to be a more tender salmon, for example, or perhaps where the salmon is eating certain planktons or certain foods or what it's being given. That's all going to affect the flavors of the salmon. And so here we are with the MOWI 7 origins with salmon, with Atlantic salmon. Imagine a gastronomic odyssey that traverses 7 distinct regions, each with its own story, each with its own flavors, each with its own essence. So we're gonna sail with MOWI salmon, the tale woven through the waters of Norway, Iceland, Scotland, Canada, Ireland, Chile, and the Faroe Islands. And join me as we uncover the secrets of these diverse origins, each contributing a unique chapter to the saga of Atlantic salmon. So let's start in the icy embrace of Norway's water. Here, MOWI salmon boasts a deep rosy hue, a delicate flavor reminiscent of oceanic freshness, and lusciously large flakes when cooked. It's like tasting the essence of Nordic waters, a true testament to the pristine environment in which it thrives. When I go to the market and I find Norwegian salmon, I know it is the top of the top. It's the salmon that I constantly look for. When I think of Norway, I think of salmon. Bright, gorgeous orange colors, the marbling of the salmon. Norwegian salmon for me is the top of my favorite kind of salmon. Now, next we're going to venture to Iceland, where salmon battles against intense currents, resulting in a pale pink coloration, a buttery essence with subtle sweetness, and a texture mirroring the resilience of its origins. Each bite tells a story of strength and adaptability, creating a dining experience unlike any other. And as we sail towards the gentle waters of Scotland, we encounter salmon with a vibrant orange color, a delicately balanced flavor profile dancing on the palate, and a luxuriously buttery texture adored by chefs like myself and seafood enthusiasts alike. It's a symphony of flavors that celebrate the bounties of the Scottish coasts. And our voyage then continues to Canada, where MOWI salmon collaborates with First Nations communities, embodying a tale of cultural harmony and sustainability. Here, slightly agitated waters give rise to a meatier and more robust texture, accompanied by a distinctively flavorful bite that speaks volumes about the region's rich heritage. In Ireland, environmental stewardship results in salmon with a lean profile, a clean, a pure taste, reflective of pristine marine habitats, and a texture echoing the harmonious rhythms of nature. It's a culinary ode to sustainability and reverence for the land. Surprisingly adapting to Chile's warmer waters, MOWI salmon showcases a lighter coloration, a firm texture indicative of adaptability, and a nuanced flavor profile shaped by unique environmental factors. It's a fusion of flavors that captures the essence of Chile's coastal treasures. And finally, we anchor at the Faroe Islands, where salmon tackles intense currents to boast a robust flavor profile, a clean and pristine coloration, and a dense, satisfying flake. It's the untamed essence of the North Atlantic, encapsulated in every bite. And so each region's terroir weaves a tapestry of flavors, textures, and culinary stories into every fillet of Atlantic salmon. And next time you indulge in this delectable fish, savor not just its taste, but the rich heritage and environmental harmony it embodies from sea to plate. So let's talk a little bit about the benefits of salmon. Now, Atlantic salmon is renowned not only for its exceptional taste, but also for its impressive nutritional profile, making it a valuable addition to a healthy diet. This fish is an excellent source of high quality protein, essential for building and repairing tissues in the body. It's particularly rich in omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA, which are crucial for maintaining heart health, reducing inflammation, and supporting brain function. Truly, salmon, Atlantic salmon particularly, is like a miracle food. It has it all, and when you're eating it, it's not just about how you feel when you eat it, it's about the flavor. I mean, this is like the food of the gods, in my opinion. How can you not love Atlantic salmon with its marbling, the healthy fats, incredible flavor, and the amount of protein that it packs? You know, as we explore the diverse origins of Atlantic salmon, we also uncover the culinary versatility of this fish. Its mild yet rich flavor makes it a favorite among chefs and home cooks alike. Whether it's smoked, grilled, baked, or served raw in sushi or sashimi, Atlantic salmon adapts to a wide range of cooking techniques and flavor pairings. And for me, when I cook Atlantic salmon, there's one tool that I love to use, and that's the air fryer. For some reason, the air fryer encapsulates the flavor of Atlantic salmon, encapsulates those marbling, the fattiness of it, the good fats right inside of it, and still gives you that nice, lovely crust. So if you're ever worried about how to cook Atlantic salmon, the secret, well, it's your oven. High heat is the way to go. Air fryer is the way to go, in my opinion, because that will really give you what you need. So let's talk about preparing Atlantic salmon first. So now when you prepare Atlantic salmon at home, it can be a delightful and straightforward experience, even for those with a busy schedule or limited culinary expertise. It's very easy and very quick to cook Atlantic salmon. The versatility of salmon allows it to be cooked using various methods, each one bringing out a unique aspect of its flavor and texture. Now, some of the simplest ways to enjoy this nutritious fish is by baking it in the oven at high temperature for a short period of time, about 10 to 60 minutes, which helps to seal in the moisture of the flavor. Like I said, the air fryer is a perfect tool for this. You can also turn on the convection function in your oven. That's going to turn on that little metal fan that's going to actually heat up the inside of your oven, and also, again, work like an air fryer, but on a larger scale. Again, all to seal the flavors so that every bite kind of melts in your mouth. The salmon's adaptability also extends to pan-searing, which can produce a beautiful, crispy skin. That's another thing that I love, is to pan-sear my salmon, allowing me to get that crispiness of that skin, and also being able to just flip it over and get another crispiness on top of the salmon itself. Rubbing the fillets with olive oil and salt, then cooking them the skin side down in a hot non-stick pan for about 5 minutes, and then followed by a flip for another 2 to 3 minutes. And that, again, results in a crispy exterior while maintaining a tender pink center. Finally, another way I like to cook salmon is by grilling it, and the grill is fantastic for it. One of the tricks that I use for grilling salmon is to use the skin as a protective measure from having the salmon burn. I am going to sacrifice the skin in this point, and what happens pretty much is that you put a little nonstick spray on the grill itself, pop its skin side down with the salmon, and let it cook until the skin chars. You're not going to be eating the skin. However, that heat is going to penetrate inside of the salmon, and you're going to get a perfectly grilled salmon fillet. You can flip it over once just to get some grill marks on top of it and make sure it's fully cooked to your liking. But that skin is going to provide a protective layer on the grill itself, and then you can very simply remove the skin and serve it as is, still getting that nice smokiness from the actual grill itself and getting yourself a nice grilled salmon. All right, incorporating Atlantic salmon into your diet also doesn't require complex recipes or even extensive cooking times. With these easy methods, you can prepare a nutritious and delicious meal that not only satisfies your taste buds, but also contributes to a healthy lifestyle. The key to perfect salmon is not to overcook it. And that's something I tell a lot of friends. Do not overcook salmon. And the worst thing I see is walking into a restaurant ordering salmon and they've overcooked it. Keep an eye on the cooking time and temperature, and that will ensure a moist and flavorful result every single time. And that is one of my secrets. I tell people, undercook your salmon just in case, because if it's undercooked, you can just put it back on the heating element just a little bit longer to cook it to perfection. But if you overcook it, there's no way to go back. If it's overcooked, it's going to be dry, and that's just not pleasure when it comes to Atlantic salmon. So I hope you're enjoying this culinary journey with Atlantic salmon, a fish that truly offers a world of possibilities in the kitchen. And for those seeking a variety of flavors, there are numerous recipes available that incorporate different seasonings and glazes. Please visit mowisalmon.us for mouth-watering recipes. So folks, thank you for joining me on this extraordinary voyage across the 7 unique origins of MOWI salmon. Together, we've explored the diverse terroirs, again, that word again, that shape these remarkable fish, from the pristine, icy waters of Norway to the southern reaches of Chile. Each origin tells a unique story, and I invite you to delve deeper by visiting mowisalmon.us/MOWI7origins. Again, that's mowisalmon.us/MOWI7origins. Thanks again for joining me on this podcast. My name is George Duran. You can download Decoding Seafood by MOWI wherever you find your favorite podcasts on Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, and more. For more information, check out mowisalmon.us.